All eukaryotic organisms are classified in the domain Eukarya. This domain includes a huge variety of living organisms divided into several kingdoms, such as animals, plants, and fungi. At one time, unicellular eukaryotes were grouped together in a single kingdom called Protista. This classification was the junk drawer of classification. If it was small and eukaryotic, it was called a protist. However, we now know that many of these organisms are not closely related, and some are more closely related to multicellular organisms. Green algae, for example, are more closely related to plants than they are to brown algae such as kelp. This has led to the dismantling of the Protista junk drawer. Small eukaryotes are being reclassified, and new classifications, such as supergroups, have been added to more accurately show evolutionary relationships. Let's ignore the junk drawer and focus on multicellular eukaryotes. Both plants and fungi have cell walls to protect their cells, but plants use the carbohydrate cellulose, while fungi use a different chemical, chitin. Although fungi were once classified as plants, DNA studies place them in the same supergroup as animals. Both are heterotrophs that need organic chemicals from other living things as an energy source. Animals ingest or eat other living things, while fungi secrete enzymes and absorb nutrients from breaking down waste and other organic matter. Plants, on the other hand, are autotrophs. Their cells contain chlorophyll that can use the energy of the sun for photosynthesis. Animals are diploid. Each cell, except egg and sperm cells, contains two sets of chromosomes. Fungi are usually haploid. For most of their life, cells have a single set of chromosomes. Plants have a complicated life cycle that alternates between diploid and haploid. In some plants, both diploid and haploid stages are multicellular. This is hard to wrap our head around because our sperm and egg cells do not grow and live life on their own before combining in fertilization. When we think of fungi, mushrooms are often the first thing that comes to mind. However, the mushroom is just the reproductive structure produced by the fungus. Most of the fungus body, or mycelium, consists of thread-like filaments called hyphae. These hyphae can cover huge areas under the ground. One honey mushroom covers 37 acres of soil, weighs over 100 tons, and is thought to be over 1,500 years old. Mushrooms are fruiting bodies that release spores above ground when the fungus is ready to reproduce. To prevent competition with the parent, mushrooms can be produced at the ends of the hyphae, forming a ring. The hyphae connecting all of the reproductive structures of the organism remain hidden in the soil. While most fungi are multicellular, yeasts are unicellular. Humans make use of one species of yeast for brewing and baking. Other species can cause infections such as thrush. Fungi are essential as decomposers to break down waste and recycle nutrients. Several species are used as food for humans and other animals. However, some cause disease in both plants and animals. Chestnut blight has nearly wiped out the American chestnut tree, and white nose syndrome is threatening bats. Mosses are the most primitive members of the plant kingdom, with no true roots or leaves. They require a moist environment because they are non-vascular. They lack the internal transport tissue found in other plants, so they remain small. Additionally, they produce sperm that use two flagella to swim to another plant for fertilization. Mosses help colonize new environments because their lack of roots lets them grow on bare rock. Sphagnum is a species that is common on the edges of bogs. The moss forms peat that can be used as fuel or as mulch in gardens. The tannins from the sphagnum and low oxygen conditions have allowed some human remains to be preserved in bogs for thousands of years. All other plants have vascular internal transport tissue. Xylem transports water from the roots. Phloem carries sugars produced by leaves to the rest of the plant. Ferns are the most primitive vascular plants. Like moss, they require a moist environment because they produce flagellated sperm. Furthermore, they have just a single strand of xylem and one strand of phloem. Instead of seeds, ferns produce spores in structures called sori on the lower surface of their leaves. Advanced plants produce seeds to protect their developing embryo and have bundles with multiple tubes of vascular tissue. These vascular bundles allow them to grow much taller and to live in dry environments. In gymnosperms, the seeds are called naked seeds because they are not enclosed in fruit. Many gymnosperms produce cones. Instead of making sperm, like ferns or moss, gymnosperms produce pollen that is carried by wind. Conifers are evergreen gymnosperms that produce needles. Humans use these trees in many ways. The majority of plants on Earth today are angiosperms, the flowering plants. Humans and most other animals depend on them. Plants are unable to move from place to place to find a mate. By using flowers to attract insects and other mobile animal pollinators, angiosperms have become the most successful plant group. Their seeds are protected in fruits. Fruits attract animals that can help carry seeds to new locations where they will not compete for space and nutrients with the parent plants. Usually, something like a dog or panda comes to mind when we think of animals. However, many phyla in this kingdom are found only in water. Animals are the only organisms to have nerve and muscle cells, allowing them to move during at least part of their life cycle. Phylum Porifera includes the sponges. These primitive animals have no symmetry or organized tissues. Because their cells are not organized, pieces that break off can become new sponges. Sponges bring water in the pores of their body and capture food particles as it flows through. Phylum Cnidaria contains jellyfish and coral. Coral and organisms like Hydra are basically upside-down jellyfish whose tentacles reach up rather than down. Some jellyfish have floating tentacle down stages and other stages where they remain attached with their tentacles reaching up to grab things. The tentacles have stinging cells to help catch food. Some jellyfish produce toxins that can be lethal to humans. Cnidarians show radial symmetry. Multiple cuts produce identical halves. Most other animal phyla have bilateral symmetry. There's only one way to cut them into identical halves. Many develop a head with concentrated sense organs in the region that first encounters their environment. Phylum Platyhelminthes contains flatworms. These animals do not have respiratory or circulatory organs because their flat body allows oxygen and nutrients to quickly reach all of their cells. Some are free-living. Others, like tapeworms, are parasites that live in the intestines of other animals. Roundworms are in phylum Nematoda. These small, non-segmented worms are abundant in soil and water. One study found 90,000 in one rotting apple. There are estimated to be 4 million in a square meter of mud. Most are a harmless part of the soil ecosystem, but some, such as the heartworms that infect our pet dogs, are parasites. Phylum Mollusca contains snails, oysters, and squid. These animals seem very different, but all use gills for gas exchange, contain soft organs in a visceral mass, and have a protective mantle that may produce a hard shell. Their strong muscular foot allows movement. The tentacles of an octopus are an example. The foot varies greatly between different mollusks depending on their lifestyle and causes the variety seen in this phylum. Segmented worms, such as earthworms and leeches, are in phylum Annelida. Their body has obvious segments or rings. The largest phylum of animals is Arthropoda. It contains at least 900,000 species. Their body has specialized segments, such as heads, wings, and jointed feet. They produce an external skeleton made of chitin. Because arthropods are so common, you are probably familiar with the classes contained within this phylum. Phylum Echinodermata is found only in the ocean. Animals such as starfish have a 5-part radial symmetry. Their water vascular system uses the flow of water for movement. It creates suction in their tube feet, allowing them to pry open the shells of mollusks enough for them to evert their stomach into the shell. They then secrete digestive enzymes. Once the mollusk is broken down, starfish bring the nutrients and their stomach back inside their body. They also get the oxygen they need from the water as it flows through. Most familiar animals are in phylum Chordata. Chordates have a nerve cord along their back. Their back is reinforced with a notochord, which is the backbone of the most common chordates, the vertebrates. Many chordates have highly developed brains. You probably know many of the classes in this kingdom too, because these animals are all around us.